Hello everyone. We'll continue from our previous session where we were discussing about metal analysis in body fluids as a diagnostic tool. We had discussed about the monitoring of copper concentration in our last session, previous session. Continuing with the toxicity of xenobiotic metals. Xenobiotic means which are foreign for the human system, which are not required by the human system, and of course those metals which are not required by the human system will be toxic. So toxicity of xenobiotic metals is due to the tendency of toxic metals like mercury, cadmium, arsenic and lead to form complexes with the thiol groups of proteins, which are also called sulfhydryl groups of proteins, and denature them. The antidote is to provide again a competing chelating agent like EDTA. So if a person is suffering from either mercury poisoning or cadmium poisoning, arsenic or lead poisoning, these are all heavy metals, these are all toxic metals, then in that case these heavy metals, they have a tendency to form complexes with the sulfhydryl groups, the thiol groups, as we say the SH groups of proteins, and they tend to deactivate them or denature the proteins. So EDTA needs to be supplied in the form of a medicine to such patients to remove the toxicity from the body, and these metal ions form a soluble complex with EDTA which can be excreted through the urine. Next we move on to another important concept which is related to anti-tumor drugs, and again anti-tumor drugs can have a very important role because they are used for the treatment of tumor, and again metal ions are very important because they are a part of these drugs. Generally platinum complexes are preferred as anti-tumor drugs because of their various properties, and cisplatin is found to be particularly effective in controlling tumor growth, since tumor is a result of uncontrolled cell division. Tumor is not a result of growth of cell, instead uncontrolled cell division. Now for a drug to function effectively, its TI or a therapeutic index value should be high. TI is given by LD50 upon ID90. Now what are these terms, LD50 and ID90? LD50 means lethal dose, that is the dose of the drug by which 50% of the test animals are killed, and ID90 means inhibitory dose, that is the minimum dose required to cause inhibition of tumor growth. So high TI, that means high TI will be when LD50 is having a higher value and ID90, a minimum amount of dose of the drug should be required. High TI is desirable because it shows a low toxicity of the drug and only a small amount of the drug is required to cause tumor inhibition. As you can see in this table, for cisplatin and for transplatin, this is the structure of cisplatin and transplatin. These are also called another name for cisplatin and transplatin is cis and trans DDP, dichlorodiamine platinum. As we can see in this table, the LD50 value milligrams per kg body weight for cisplatin is given as 13 and the ID90 value is 1.6. Now these are all experimental values. So the TI value which is given by LD50 upon ID90 comes out to be approximately 8.1. For transplatin, the LD50 value is 27 and ID90 value is 27.1, which is approximately less than 1. A low TI value of transplatin shows that it causes no tumor inhibition. That means transplatin is ineffective as a drug in case of causing is ineffective as an anti-tumor drug. Now this can be due to both kinetic as well as structural factors. Now the ineffectiveness of transplatin as an anti-tumor drug is been due to stenotic as well as structural factors. Again, this is the structure. Whenever this drug is introduced in the body, there are three types of linking of the drug with DNA. The moment the drug is introduced into the body of a patient, then it can combine with the DNA in by the way of three linkages. The first one is the intrastrand linking, second is interstrand linking, and third is when both the nitrogens on one side come from the same base residue. Nitrogens in terms of the nitrogen of ammonia. Now, chloride group we all know is a very labile group. So, these chloride groups, once they enter the biological system, they get removed, and these chloride groups are replaced by nitrogen from the guanine base of DNA. So, this is how the linking occurs. These are two strands in which in the first case the interstrand cross linking is shown, where both the strands of DNA are linking with the drug. That means both the chlorides of the drug have been removed and they have been replaced by nitrogen of the guanine base in DNA strands. DNA strands we know are made of 4 amino acids: A, T, G, C, adenine, thymine, guanine and cytosine. So, the thymine, which contains nitrogen, gets bound to the drug, or rather the drug gets bound to the nitrogen of thymine of DNA, either to both the strands or to the single strand, which is termed as intrastrand linkage, which is shown in the second figure. The first figure represents the interstrand linkage of the drug with the DNA, and the second figure shows the intrastrand linkage of the drug with the DNA. So, this is a cisplatin DNA interaction, and this can occur only with cisplatin, not with transplatin. The linking of the complex with DNA is very strong. Once this complex, that is, once the platinum complex enters the system, it links itself to the DNA, and this linking is very strong, and the cellular repair mechanism cannot get rid of it. This affects the RNA synthesis also, and hence cell replication. So, once cell replication is affected or it's slowed down, then tumor can be inhibited. Now, possibly all three types of bonding take place, but to different extents. The third type of bonding, which we had said, are when both the nitrogens on one side come from the same base residue. That means in case of intrastrand linkage in the second figure, both the nitrogens come from the same guanine residue. The guanines are not different over here. They can come either from the different guanines, or they can come from the same guanine residue. Guanine, which is an amino acid, contains a lot of nitrogens. We do not need to go into the details of structure of guanine, because we are just concerned with the role of the metal ion over here. We just need to know that the guanine contains nitrogen, which binds to the platinum of the drug, replacing the chloride, since chloride is a very good labile group. So, all three types of bonding take place, but to different extents. Now, for a drug to work effectively as an anti-tumor drug, two conditions are required. The first one is a cis geometry. As we have said, cisplatin is a very effective drug. Cis geometry is the basic requirement for a drug to behave as an anti-tumor drug, because the value of Ti for transplatin is very low, less than 1, and that makes it ineffective as a drug, and this has been studied as a mechanism by the way of inter and intrastrand linkage for transplatin also. Transplatin, by the structure we can understand that it will not undergo any kind of intra or intrastrand linkage with DNA. So, two conditions are required for any drug to work very effectively as an anti-tumor drug. The first one, as you have said, is the cis geometry. The second important criteria is that the drug should be a neutral complex, because neutral complex ensures lipid solubility of the drug. If the drug is anionic or if it is cationic, that means if cation or anion is in excess, then in that case, since lipid is biological lipids, they are neutral, so the drug will be insoluble in the lipids, and once it is insoluble in the lipids, it will not act upon the DNA, because it won't get mixed up inside the system. The higher the lipid solubility, lower is the toxicity of the drug. So all these drugs, whatever we have discussed till now, whether they are related to the removal of excess of metal ions or whether they are related to as anti-tumor drugs, all these drugs have a certain amount of toxicity, and various methods have been devised to reduce the toxicity of the drug once it is entering the human system. Now, for reducing the toxicity of the drug, various points have to be, or to reduce the side effects, various points have to be followed, and for this the drugs are to be released slowly in vivo. In vivo means within the system. These drugs are to be released very slowly, just like we had discussed in the case of iron deficiency, where we had said, we go back to that slide, where we had said that the deficiency of iron can be overcome by supplying iron to the biological system in the form of ferrous sulfate. Now that ferrous sulfate has to be given along with ascorbic acid, and that has to be provided in a manner or in a gelatin cover which dissolves slowly within the system, and it causes less stomach problems. So any drug, whether it is iron, whether it is copper, whether it is zinc, whether it is manganese, for their deficiency, for their excess, their remedies have to be thought of as such, which can be released slowly inside the body, causing least amount of toxic effects. So coming back to anti-tumor drugs, we had said that reducing the toxicity of the drugs are to be released slowly in vivo by placing bulky groups which get removed slowly. That means along with the platinum drug, which is cis DDP or cisplatin as we say, along with it bulky groups are attached, so that when this drug is released in the body, the bulky groups allow it to get release the drug very slowly inside the body. The second way in which the toxicity can be removed is using polymeric platinum complexes which slowly get broken into monomers. That means if platinum is used as a polymer, then once it enters the body, it will get reduced into the monomer very slowly, and hence the slow release of the drug will be possible. And the third point is that in vivo reduction of platinum 4 compounds. That means in case of this anti-tumor drug, which is cis DDP, platinum is present in the +2 state. So if it is administered in the +4 state, then it will get reduced to +2 state within the system, or in vivo as we say, within the system very slowly. From platinum 4 to platinum 2, the conversion will take place very slowly, and hence the action of the drug will be very slow, which is required to reduce the toxicity of the drug. So these three are the important criteria which can help to release the drug slowly inside the system and reduce the toxicity of the drug. Apart from these metals which we have just discussed, there are certain other metals like gold and lithium which are also used in, which can also be used in drug preparations. Gold in the form of solganol. Solganol is a complex of gold with glucose. and its related compounds. When it is used in combination with Solganol, or when it is used in the form of Solganol, it can be used in the treatment of rheumatoid arthritis. Now, we all know arthritis is a disease which is linked to the stiffness of the joints, which causes a lot of pain, and rheumatoid arthritis causes even the joints to weaken due to the weakening of the tissues, and it can also result in the bending of the fingers of the hands, as in case of adults. So, this is a progressive disease. That means this disease as such has no remedy. That means it continues to increase, the problem continues to increase, and the problem can be controlled, or the disease can be controlled by using Solganol, which is a gold drug, and it is supplied to the patient suffering from rheumatoid arthritis in very small amounts. Gold doesn't mean that the gold as a metal is used, it is used in some complex form, and it acts upon that area which is being affected, that is the joint area which is being affected by a certain kind of bacteria which are degrading the joints, and organisms which are degrading the joints, and this arthritis is a disease which has nothing linked to the age of a person. It can occur at any age, but generally it is seen in cases where weaker bones, or at an older age where otherwise also weaker bones tend to exist. And lithium is another important metal ion which can be used to treat manic depressive patients. That means such patients are where they are in case of acute excitement or acute depression. Whenever they have certain circumstances which are favorable to them, they have a sense of acute excitement. They are not able to control their basically emotions, and where they have something which is there to which is not in their favor, then it is resulting in acute depression in such patients. So, acute excitement and acute depression are linked to manic depressive conditions, and this can be treated by supplying lithium in the form of its inorganic compounds like lithium chloride to such patients which are suffering from such kind of a disease. Now, apart from the toxicity of the drug in case of deficiency and excess, when we were talking about toxicity of a drug, excess of a drug can also cause toxicity, whether it is present in a particular area or it is distributed in the whole system. So, excess of a drug like or any metal ion, as we have discussed, if iron is present in the excess in the body, then it can also cause a disease, and it is termed as a local excess, which is resulting in toxicity. Similarly, metal ions like copper, as we have discussed earlier, metal ions like copper, if they are in excess in a particular area, generally excess of a metal ion is related to a place where the metal ion is stored in the body. Like if iron is stored as ferritin in the tissues, then excess of iron can occur only in those tissues. Like if copper is present in the plasma in excess, or in the tissues of the liver, then excess of copper can occur only in such tissues, as well as excess of copper can occur in the central nervous system. And because the excess of copper is present in the excess in the central nervous system, so it can lead to, or it can affect the whole of the central nervous system, leading to a general imbalance in the body, a general lack of coordination in the body, because the coordination of our body is being controlled by the central nervous system. and hence this may lead to certain other diseases which are which have idiopathic symptoms. That means which are do not have a particular reason that why these particular diseases occur, because they are linked to certain excess and deficiencies of certain metal ions. And when we see about the anti-tumor drugs, coming back to anti-tumor drugs, when we discuss about their interaction and their excess in the body, although anti-tumor drugs are behaving as drugs which are controlling or which are curing a malignant tumor, but the presence of such drugs inside the body can lead to their toxicity if in excess, or if even if they are in the required amounts, because any drug, as I have already mentioned time and again, that any drug which is there contains metal ions, and the presence of metal ions inside the body which are originally not a component of the biological system can cause toxicity. For example, in case of platinum, when we are talking about anti-tumor drugs, in case of platinum is not an original requirement of the body. It is not an element, or it is not a metal ion which is required by the body. So the presence of platinum inside the body, whether it is behaving as a drug, is actually causing toxicity inside the body also. So for any drug to work, the amount of the drug, the way in which it behaves, the way in which it is administered, and the way in which it is released inside the biological system should be controlled, so that the toxicity of the drug can be minimized. And this is all about in our lecture for bioinorganic. So we'll conclude here, and thank you for the patience.